that.
Exactly.
We were looking at that. So okay, so we got those pictures filled, and then final goes up. This is number 4
It
here.
is before this point, yeah.
And that's last but not least. So maybe I'll put this picture at the beginning of both of them.
That's before the original date, before the profile.
So that's, it just gets confused, like, we don't do all the same pictures for some that are at the same location, but it's like, it gets harder to tell a story.
Right.
So.
There it is.
So now then. I'll give these back to you once I scan, but
Yeah, that's
I
right.
try to. Well, yeah, that's the only thing that threw me, 'cause I'm like. I'm like, before paired, after paired, that doesn't.
So cool. The builder from Ryan Homes called me today.
Yeah? Who's gonna make a connection? Who's gonna make, yeah, he sent me,
Gotta go.
Clifford sent me an email on Monday, he's like, please let us know. I'm like, oh, this guy's. Oh, yeah.
And Jeff was trying to baby.
Hey, Chris, look at this guy, all relaxed looking.
Yeah.
You rode out with him, or who drove?
He drove,
Like, you're relaxed?
and I am relaxed.
Yeah, I ride with him, and it's scary.
I was a little nervous, but I'm
I didn't comment on her. I would do it. We're paying $200, so. How many, what did it do? Like,
basically prevents
like April through September or something, or?
basically prevents him from investing in the
Oh, yeah, but does he oil the eggs too?
If he finds
Do we
he
have
doesn't
any,
take them.
do we have any nesters? Do we have any?
Yeah. I check usually 2-3 times.
Because I know we want to keep the ball diamonds clear, we want to make sure that
It's like a
the
pattern.
walking trail,
Yeah.
you don't want.
You can't avoid it because we have too many waterways. There's a pond, like, 2 houses down towards where we go to school. Behind that house, go there, can't change them outside. And then they have hot water.
Yeah, so.
So they go there and then
But
they
he
come
is
back.
oiling eggs.
Okay.
Sorry, Larry. It's okay.
Sorry, I was on the phone before, I apologize.
Oh, that's right.
I think so, as long as, that's the.
Yeah. Should we bring the jet in? Run the water with the jet?
Well, see,
Which you should.
My hero here.
The mayor.
Like I woke up with it at like 3 a.m. and I take it every break and I take it to the bedroom and can't get rid of it.
I took 3 heads off. You got any interviews coming in or not?
Interviews? Not yet.
Sorry, this is my seat, so I can't.
It's all right.
2 seminars.
I'm trying to stay out of
Brandon
work
Mack
now.
wants to come back tomorrow too.
I see everybody else back here, so
All the questions, yes.
I figured it was okay for me to sit back there.
Brandon, go.
So next week,
Oh, yeah, I'll take it. 26, 27.
better off,
Mind your seat.
put Chloe's with you.
When I first met him, I was shy.
I was dying.
So young.
Good, thank you.
Younger.
I'm glad I didn't tell anyone. There's so many of them.
Yeah.
Yeah,
No.
go for it. What's that?
Maybe you're gonna have an easy one.
So it's just continue with what you've been doing, but when there's certain issues, like commercial, residential, I don't think that's why he's a little partner. If it's residential and as long as it's less than 3 apartments, I can accept termination.
You'll get that note then, Charles?
Yeah, if that's just, if that's just one way, like if that happens in another village, just call her up.
A little far away.
We can do recycling.
You said it was me and Randy, I think it was
Not in my job description.
Okay, Jeff Zuber is going to give us our annual stormwater report. Is that exciting or what?
This thing on. Well, I'll try to be fast because I know you guys look forward to this every year. But this is a brief summary of our annual report for our reporting period that actually runs from March 10th of 2022 through March 9th of 2023. They're in the process of updating this permit. Well, they've been in the process of updating this permit for about 4 years now. I think it might actually come through in the fall. We'll likely see the reporting period get changed to annual instead of a March to March thing. So we may be changing your schedule for this in the future, but this annual report really summarizes our activities for our stormwater, for our MS4 permit that we're required to be added to our population size. The permit requires us to address 6 minimum control measures, we call them MCMs. And I'll go kind of through them one at a time and what we've done to work towards those. The first one is public education and outreach. And this is really done in majority by the Western New York Stormwater Coalition and our membership to them, to that organization, I should say. They do a lot of training. There are kiosks and displays. They run ads and have public events and school programs, etc. It's mostly provided by the Stormwater Coalition, but our little input to that has been our display that's mounted out in the hallway. In the past, I know when we've had picnics or other big events, we've been able to set up displays. Maybe we'll get back to that at some point, but majority of public outreach and education is through the Stormwater Coalition, as is the second minimum control measure, which is public involvement and participation. Our Stormwater Coalition meetings are open to the public, so those are all counted underneath that category. This meeting tonight is open to the public. There's lots of postings on, there's a posting on our town website that actually has our draft permit on there as well. And there's also other programs that the coalition does, like our composting kits and the rain barrel program, and the scout cleanup event. That is one thing that the town has contributed towards this category as well. The third control measure is illicit discharge detection and elimination. And this one is basically dry weather inspections of our stormwater outfalls throughout the town. We have 157 total outfalls, and this year we inspected 35 of them. That's about 22%. We're required to do a minimum of 20% of them each year. We actually removed 2 of our outfalls because we determined that they were connections into the state's system, so they were not covered under our permit. This category also covers track down of potential illicit discharges if any are found. We didn't find any, so we didn't have to do any track down for the track down, but if we were to inspect an outfall, and it's usually after 3 days of no rain, and we were to find it discharging from a stormwater outfall, then we go and look a little further. We'll sample it, and maybe it's somebody draining their pool water, or it's some other type of illegal connection that we want to eliminate to keep stuff that we don't want going into our stormwater. The next measure is measure 4, and that is construction site stormwater runoff control. This is, it's primarily addressed by Wendell. This actually covers our review of the stormwater pollution prevention plans for any projects that come into the town through the planning board that are big enough to require that stormwater permit coverage. It also covers our inspections of our active construction sites. We have about 12 active construction sites. Actually, we have a couple more now that have just started this year. But during this March to March reporting period, we had 12 active construction sites. Minimum control measure 5 is post-construction stormwater management. That one refers to our inventory in the town of stormwater management practices and making sure we inspect them regularly. We actually, over the course of the last couple of years, have been going through our inventory in detail, and we've actually eliminated quite a few. These were old lists that I think were started by Ron Wolf and Highway Department a while ago. And I think they just made a list of all the ponds that we had in town. But each one of those is not necessarily required for us to inventory and maintain as part of this program. Ponds that are just for agricultural or just for recreation, or ones, you know, all of our mine reclamation ponds and lakes down there, those are not stormwater ponds in general. So we actually narrowed the list down. We're down to 33 ponds and 8 hydrodynamic pretreatment units. Out of those, the 15 of the ponds were inspected this past fall, and 5 of them received some type of maintenance, either unclogging or removing blockages to their outlet control structures, or cleaning out other obstructions to them functioning normally. That minimum control measure, number 4 and number 5, those apply to the whole town, town-wide, where the other measures only apply to the areas that are in the designated MS4. So we don't have to try to keep track of which projects are there, then we just do all of them. The last measure is minimum control measure 6, and that's stormwater management for municipal operations. This year we updated facility self-assessments. Mike Rinaldi and Rich before he left, and Paul, they all updated our self-assessments for the highway department, water sewer building, the rec center, town hall, youth center, community center. The town highway department kept sweeping streets. We actually have 55 lane miles of roads that they swept this year. And they also do cleaning and reconstruction of catch basins. And there were 38 catch basins last year that they cleaned and reconstructed or repaired in some manner. So that is pretty much the high-level summary of our annual report. Any questions from anybody?
Comments or questions, guys?
We have one. I know Supervisor McSwan, the last few years we've sold grain barrels. Does that have any effect on this report? I mean, you know, people collecting water in barrels and not having to discharge it in the...
Well, I mean, that's a great green stormwater management practice.
But it doesn't affect...
It doesn't affect this report, other than that is one of the public involvement and participation events that the Western New York Stormwater Coalition does. They have those big sales of the rain barrels and the composts, so that opens it up to the public to get involved in doing what they can do to reduce that type of stormwater discharge.
Thank you.
Yeah. Any other questions? Thank you.
Maybe a few minutes before we start. Just so everyone's aware, the town hall will be closed this Wednesday because we will not have power. We've been informed a couple times now that this week it's going to happen. All the poles are going to be replaced here at the parking lot, so thus the power is cut for everything. It'll be on from 7 in the morning till 4 o'clock in the afternoon, so it's still have fun.
The network, the computer network though, Link was gonna bring it down an hour before, but, the memo that came out said 6 a.m., so they weren't gonna get up at 5 in the morning, so they asked if they could possibly bring it down Tuesday night. I know there's court on Tuesday night, but I talked to, Justice Strankowski, and he says they're typically out of there a little after 9:08. So Lynx is gonna bring down, our network at 10 o'clock at night. I don't know if it has any effect on the constables, if they have any night duty or anything, but, our computer network will come down Tuesday night at 10 PM. And we'll be back up after 4 o'clock, so probably 5 o'clock they'll start bringing it up.
You think that we don't do a board meeting?
I'll tell them it has to be. We'll need some coordination on that, though, Don. If it's earlier than 4, if Debbie or nobody's gonna be here, how are we gonna know if we have power? I mean, at least
I'll give, the gentleman in charge of the job a call.
Okay.
To let us know when the power's back.
And I'll tell Lynn to start doing it at maybe 4:30. If we know it's gonna be 4 o'clock, that way you're planning more to have that one.
They're expecting to be on 4, but they said the long shot case, because there's another firm case, we'll talk to the runs from our pole. It was, obviously, that's the only one, no issues, so that takes longer than the time, I'll talk to you after the meeting, I'll make the context. All right, let's, start our regular board meeting, rise to the pledge of allegiance, please. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic which stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Heavenly Father, we pray that you grant wisdom to all who are in authority, that order and justice may be upheld to the benefit of all citizens. Guide us and restore the people of our state. Restrain those who seek to destroy our government. We ask for the one wisdom, rest upon our leaders, to guide them and protect them.
For the record, the first doctor is absent tonight. Any public input tonight? Approval of the minutes, May 1st, 2023, can I have a motion?
So moved. Second.
And a second, all in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstained. Motion carried, minutes are approved. Approval of bill payment of May 15th, 2023, voucher number 202-306-82 to 202-30789 for a total amount of $284,039.87. Can I have a motion, please?
So moved.
Second.
And a second. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Bills are paid. Department heads, Paul Siegel is excused tonight. Mark Clark. Hi, Mark.
Good evening. I just got a couple things to report.
We got a microphone. There you go.
Just got a couple things to report tonight. The water sewer department had a couple service leaks over the past week. That put the town hall out of water. We had no control over that. We got it back on as fast as we could. The guys did it in a short period of time. They did a great job restoring the water.
Is that an insurance type thing? Will the town get refunded money because they did dig safely, but they didn't dig safely?
Yes, so what I did was I made a bill up for that.
Okay.
With all the supplies and the guys that were on the job. And I submitted the bill to Tulsa. Tulsa Plumbing will take care of it.
Okay, great, thank you.
Also, we're gonna start the yearly maintenance on the sewer grinder units in the next week or so, once the summer help starts. We got more employees. So we'll be out in the field maintaining the grinders. Auctions International, on a side note, we'll start the bids tomorrow on the 4 Onan generators at Toby Hines and the 2005 GMC Sierra pickup truck, dump truck, and that'll end on May 30th. And lastly, I will be out of town next week for the water conference, so if anything is needed from Water and Sewer Department, please contact Matt Sigmund, my deputy. That's all I have to report tonight.
Mark, let me ask you a question. You said Toby Hines generators. At one time, we had one that was intended for the town hall. It's now one of those.
It's not.
Nice job, by the way, with the repairs.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. Thanks for keeping us warm.
You're welcome.
now the recreation director.
Hi, Don. Not much to report. Typical May activities, diamonds are up and running. Opening day for T-ball coach pitch is this Wednesday. Our men's league starts on Friday, so things are kind of just picking up real quick for us. We're gonna finish our batting cages this week or next week. That way our teams can start using them, and we're just catching up with cutting on out parks, cul-de-sacs, fire halls, residential areas. They seem to be the only one that we can't totally get. We got like 80% of the cut, but there's just some low areas in there that we don't wanna get buried. So, other than that, we're just plugging along.
The issue's always been a problem.
It's just so low.
I get married there a couple of times. Anything else? The park looks very nice.
Thank you.
Anybody have anything else? Thank you. Mr. Jordan, building department. How you doing tonight, Chris?
Good, how you doing?
All right, so I got a couple things here from Mike. Park will be coming in for a pre-construction meeting for the new storage building next to the senior center. Start date, building colors, things like that will be discussed then. Town insulation will be spray foam, the floor cantilever on the, apologize for the writing here, on the lower level of the town hall. They will work with department heads on schedule and they'll work after hours. RED is the contractor installing the new windows at the town hall. Pre-construction meeting is this Thursday morning. Schedule and window measurements will be discussed. Twin City Glass has installed new door openers at the main entrance for accessibility. Any questions?
If anybody wants to attend that pre-construction meeting on this Thursday at 9 o'clock. And also, as far as the colors go, you guys, I was going to have them manage the community center. That's good with you, if not, I want to come to their pre-construction meeting and take a look, but we'll have the wainscoting bottom, and I'll get the managed community center. That's what we're doing. What about the insulation? I know Randy has some concerns about the potential moisture inside the package that we have.
So it is a closed cell, so the heat transfer is not as fast as a regular pad insulation or open cell. So it'll hold the heat, it won't drip or it won't create the moisture barrier or the moisture that normally gets created in those type of cavities. That's the idea behind it.
I'm trying to think of the fellow that I talked to from Cargo.
Dan?
Yeah.
Okay.
And we had talked about insulation, and anytime you have a building, whether it's heated or not,
Mhm.
you get an extreme temperature on the outside and a lower temperature on the outside, potential for some moisture, however, ventilation comes into play.
Yeah, with the spray foam, you don't need the ventilation. I was talking about that earlier.
You see the already before, so
Okay.
that answers everybody's question. Insulation.
Good.
Anybody have a question?
All right, thank you.
Thank you, very appreciate it. Assessor, Helen.
Not much going on, just, people calling with questions on their, change of assessment notices. I met with a few people for informal. I have a couple more informals, and grievance day is next Tuesday, the 23rd. That's
How do we make out with the, who put the money towards it, not, was it the Summit Park parcel?
We have not gotten that back yet, have we not?
No, I haven't heard it, did you get to speak to them, the representative?
They were not at the meeting this past week.
Yeah, no, we haven't gotten back, but maybe we could check and
I
see
will, I'll call
if that's
tomorrow.
related for the next court date, but, they are in the process of, working on that.
I'm interested to see the McKinley Mall auction is starting this week. So I'm wondering what they're gonna do with that, because that was one of the gates that we had prior. Okay.
Thank you, Kelly. Town contact, veterans.
Today we started the final concrete at the wall, which looks really, really good. Dave Hutchinson is doing that for us. And that will complete, there will be no grass between what was phase 2 and the wall. There'll be no grass in there, it's all paved now. So that's good. He's gonna finish up tomorrow. He's gotta do some power washing. He's gonna power wash the rest of the concrete that's there and seal everything for us, and that'll all transpire tomorrow. One thing that keeps coming up, back in January, when I gave the board the itinerary for the July 1st event, we had talked about having an ice cream truck there. That's on the itinerary, and that was agreed to have the ice cream truck. What happens now, though, as we go along and we're getting closer and closer to July 1st, people keep asking about food truck, food truck, food truck. As a matter of fact, just before this meeting, I was at Wurlitzer, where the car show is at, and I got approached for a food truck issue again. All right, this time it was for Mariposa, the sub shop that's up on the Military. I just want to run it by the board. I don't know, what does everybody think about having, ice cream truck is here, but what do you think about having one more with food? I don't want to think about anything that's messy, anything that's sloppy, or, you know. But I thought a sub, kind of wrapped up in paper, we're gonna have a tent, people can sit down. I don't know, what does everybody think?
I personally don't have any objection. The only thing I would think, Tom, is if we do have a couple of food trucks here, then this might be, you guys have your own opinion, that we have some extra garbage cans out here.
Yep.
Otherwise, it'll be a cleanup forever. Right now, we don't have anything back here.
Correct.
And I think we have some, Mike, you have some extra 55-gallon barrels we can bring?
We can bring some over.
So, that's my only concern is the cleanup and the mess afterwards.
Okay.
And maybe if you wanna have a couple food trucks, we have a couple picnic tables, so people will sit.
Well, we're gonna have the tent, and there's gonna be 8 tables inside the tent with chairs. So, we've got a place for, you know, we thought about that because it was really hot last year in July, and people needed a place to sit down, and we didn't have it. That's what we went with the tent. We have the ice cream truck coming, so we wanted people to take their kids, sit down at a table, have ice cream. Now that we've got all that, the only missing component was something to munch on.
And we don't have to pay the food truck vendors to come, they just come and sell their product, right?
Correct, correct. And the nice thing about the food truck, you know, they're self-insured.
So, and that's the other concern I have with being on town property, is they have appropriate insurance.
Yeah. Yeah.
Anybody else have any comments? Bill?
Okay with it then? Okay, thank you.
Do we need a motion?
Well, I think we already authorized the event. If you want it, I mean, it wouldn't hurt to have everybody.
Is that okay with you?
Yeah, sure.
Let's do it. Ten campaign ourselves.
Okay.
Right, so let's do it right now. I'll make a motion to allow, a food truck and an ice cream truck at this year's July events for the Veterans Monument.
I'll second.
And we got a second, all in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried.
Thank you.
Dave Godfrey. County Legislature.
From up front here, we have a lot going on. Try to get through the highlights here of our meeting is tomorrow night with the legislature. There's a couple of public hearings in advance of the meeting tomorrow night, and one of those is a public law authorizing our real property exempt for a volunteer fireman. As you know, the state passed up to 10%, so we'll be a public hearing prior to the meeting tomorrow night, the legislature, for a resolution to offer to our volunteer firemen a tax exemption. In addition to that, there's a public hearing on a resolution tomorrow night on the operation of off-road vehicles on public land. And that resolution reads that no unlicensed vehicle, these are ATVs, motorbikes, dune buggies, including, it doesn't spell it, but it does include golf carts, are not allowed on public right-of-ways, public roads, sidewalks, parks, paths, and so on. The sheriff is behind this 100%. There's been a lot of issues across the county with these vehicles causing danger amongst walkers and other people. So that is a public hearing prior to our meeting. Other resolutions that are on that night is a resolution to fund the new law enforcement academy at NCCC. We're going to be passing that tomorrow night. Also, we have a resolution to bring in a consultant to look at exactly what the county needs to do in support of volunteer EMS. With the early closure of Lockport and the late opening of Catholic Health there in Lockport, the county is looking, hopefully, possibly, to put 2 ambulances on the road, but also to look at the possibility of commercial, to fill that gap between the 3 to 4 months between the closure of the one hospital ER and the opening of the other. So we have a consultant to find out exactly where the county needs to go to support volunteers going forward, well beyond that 3 to 4 months period. And let's see, yeah, that was those are the primaries. Then there's a pretty important things. Oh, in our broadband, we have a contract that is ready to present to Spectrum to fill all of those few address locations across the county to guarantee 100% broadband coverage across the entire Niagara County. A long time coming. For me, it's been about 8.5, almost 9 years. So we're glad that hopefully that will be done maybe by the end of this year. There's not many address points left. The Spectrum has built out quite a bit, but there are some locations that we said no. We guarantee to our public that we would provide 100% coverage, and that's what we will be doing. So that's another resolution for tonight. Questions?
Anybody have questions for me? Thank you.
Okay, thanks, appreciate it.
Council, do you have a report tonight? No report?
No report.
Okay, well said, thank you. General engineers. The only thing we have on the, pardon? The only thing we have on our agenda is actually our planning board report, but we didn't have any planning board report. Well, at least to let you know that our April 19th meeting was canceled due to lack of applicants. And May 3rd meeting was canceled due to pending power outage, and everybody was notified before the schedule. So those people are all becoming, this week, so.
Yeah, this hours back.
Just one. I'll be here, but there's one more to go. If not, we'll be canceling it. So that's all. Thank you. Motions, Matt Rose.
First motion from the town board resolved to authorize and accept the proposal of Carco Building Systems to add to the town's new equipment storage building at the town hall complex with steel liner package, including installation for the amount of $21,450. Carco has already been authorized to provide and build the equipment storage building under their bid, being the only one received. Said equipment storage building, steel liner package, and including installation will be paid for with town funds.
Before we put it through, well, that is ARPA funds, correct?
No,
Well, that was, oh, that's right, I'm sorry.
the original building is ARPA funds.
Right, okay. I'm sorry. Have a motion, please.
So moved.
Second. Second, all in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Next motion from the Water Sewer Department, resolved to authorize the request of Mark Clark, Water and Sewer Superintendent, to authorize the ordering of a sewer pump station transducer which controls the level of town pumps at town locations. The total amount is $1,042 from Coaster, who is the town source provider of said equipment.
So moved.
Second. I have a motion and a second, all in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried.
Motion from the highway department to authorize the request of Paul Seaman, highway superintendent, to hire Tim Fitzpatrick as a truck driver for the highway department, being an internal transfer from the water sewer department to start at highway on May 22nd, 2023, with a 30-day trial period. Said hires a rate of pay, terms pursuant to the job specifications. The highway department truck driver, and pending approval of human resources, no Niagara County criminal background check is required as the employee is currently with the town.
So moved. Second.
And a second, all in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried.
Next motion from the Recreation Department, resolved to authorize and approve the request of Mike Manali, Recreation Director, to replace the four forest bodies on the merry-go-round located in Marion Park from Miracle Recreation at a cost of $3,388.87.
So moved.
Second.
And a second, all in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried.
Next motion from the Recreation Department, resolve, authorize and approve the request of Mike Manali, Recreation Director, to purchase engineered wood fibers that are playground safe from Willow Creek Farms at a cost of $2,800 to top off the playground at the youth center, Ariel Park, and Cameron Park.
So moved. Second.
And a second, all in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried.
Next motion from the Budget Director and the Highway Department, resolve to approve an amendment to the 2023 Highway Fund budget to provide the estimated revenue and budget appropriation for the increase in New York State CHIPS grant and for Pave New York grant, the Extreme Winter Recovery grant, and the Pave Our Potholes grant to be used for additional highway street repairs, and that's as indicated in the motion package.
So moved.
Second. And a second, all in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried.
Next motion from the Water Sewer Department, resolved to authorize the Water Sewer Department to hire seasonal help of Joshua Ammerman at a rate of pay and terms pursuant to the job specifications of the Water Sewer Department, seasonal help, and the approval of human resources, and a Niagara County criminal background check.
So moved. Second.
And a second.
Another question. How many employees do you need for that? Or,
For the summer help?
yeah.
I put in for 2, but I would like to get 3, because one of the summer help can only do maybe like half a week, 2 or 3 days.
So far, what, you had two?
I have 2 so far.
Okay, so you're still looking for one more?
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Move to the second.
Yes.
Okay, and a second, all in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried.
Okay, now, we have several supplemental motions. First one from Highway Department to rescind the appointment of Nancy Green to the Highway Department.
So moved. Second.
Motion and a second, all in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried.
Next motion from the town prosecutors, I'm not sure if the board is prepared, I'll read it, but I'm not sure if the board wants to discuss an executive session. From town prosecutors, resolved to appoint John Sansone Esquire to prosecute 2 town court cases for which both current prosecutors are conflicted out of handling at an hourly rate of $175 on a temporary basis.
This is a guy who's on the man, you could give a brief explanation of discussing the cases.
This is a case in which, both, Matt Mosher, whose case it would normally fall to, is involved, civilly in a violation matter, so he is conflicted out, he is involved to an extent civilly that I believe it conflicts out the entire Wheatfield Town Prosecuting Office, and also, prior to it being filed with Wheatfield, I consulted an individual, civilly in the matter, so, because our office is conflicted out with 2 town prosecutors, we are responsible for handling it, but, we have to have someone independent to do so.
Just so you know, we did try and transfer it out of the Wheatfield courts, but it's.
And And if any of the board is interested, the individual, John Sanson, I know on a personal basis, he is very competent. He did provide me earlier today a copy of his resume of everyone, but he is, just so the board realizes, he is, experienced in this type of stuff. He's an attorney for the village of Holly. He's been a special prosecutor in a similar situation to this for the town of Newfane. He is currently an assistant Niagara County attorney. He's also an assistant Orleans County district attorney, so he's familiar with criminal work. He's an attorney for Clarendon in Orleans County. He is a prosecutor for the town of Pendleton currently. He's also prosecutor numerous other towns, formerly in North Tonawanda City prosecutor. So he is well versed and a good choice for assistance in this thing.
You know, Dennis, if you're more comfortable, we can do an executive session for further explanation. But I did talk to the district attorney, and we could not move into another court, so this is our, as much as I hate to say it, but this is our only choice, so.
Yeah, I got two questions. Do we have a budget for this? I'm pretty sure you have a budget for outside counsel.
Yes, there is, yes.
Okay, my second question is, do you have an idea? I know lawsuits and litigation can sometimes, we've seen it, be very expensive. Our order of magnitude of what this might be, are we looking at $100, are we looking at $5,000, $50,000, or?
Oh, no, my belief is, and maybe you'll know better than me, but I think in my budget, and I almost never invade that part of the budget, we have about $8,000 to $10,000 for outside counsel. I would expect it not to exceed that.
Okay.
So I would think if, he's gonna charge, $175 an hour, I'm thinking, 20, 30 hours, so I'm expecting 3,000 or 4,000 if I had the ballpark. And I don't expect it to exceed my budget in that area.
I'll make the motion.
Second.
Second.
And a second, all in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried.
Next supplemental motion is resolved to authorize the highway department to hire seasonal help of Nathan Walerowitz at a rate of pay and subject to the terms of the job specifications of the highway department of seasonal help, pending approval of human resources and a Niagara County criminal background check.
So moved.
Second.
And a second, all in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried.
Moving on to the next sheet of supplemental motions from the Town Board of Personnel Department, resolved to authorize the position of town supervisor to be eligible for town provided health insurance at the same terms of town health insurance provider for full-time non-union employees and to amend the personal manual to reflect the same.
So moved.
And a second. Read it. Make it a second.
I'll second.
Motion and a second, all in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carried.
And then, the next supplemental motion sheet 2, resolved to authorize the water sewer department to hire seasonal help with Peyton Sigmund at a rate of pay and terms pursuant to the job specifications of the water sewer department seasonal help, pending approval of human resources and a Niagara County criminal background check.
So moved.
Second.
And a second, all in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried.
And I don't think I have any more supplemental motions, so that should do it.
Thank you, man. Any public input? Ed, do you have any reports on that?
No, I don't.
How about you, Megan, do you have something you want to report? This is Megan's first official town board meeting, and I think you did a great job. Okay, so no public input. Our next meeting is May 1st. This is a board member. Oh, I'm sorry, yeah, here. May 1st. Larry Howard, make it short.
I have nothing.
Fill this up.
I don't have anything either this evening.
Bruce not here, Randy Russell.
I have nothing.
Okay, the only thing, reminder that town hall will close Wednesday, and, we've received several calls now, and maybe you wanna pass this along. But I talked to Brian Dickens' office, they are going to do another veteran celebration, in September. And they'll have the new date next week. And we've had so many veterans call and ask why they weren't involved, or why they weren't notified. I don't know if it was in the paper, it was everywhere. But we are gonna do a second, veteran celebration in September. Exact date, I should know within a few days.
And the agenda says May 1st is their next meeting, is it supposed to be like June 5th?
Probably is. Yeah.
Not so good, Meg.
Is it June 5th?
I'm gonna do that.
Yeah, June 5th.
Okay.
What happened, Megan? Was that you? Okay. Public hearing regarding the revisions to the town of Wheatfield campus line.
Yes, there is,
6:45. Regular town board meeting will be at 7:00. And, I need a motion to adjourn.
Second.
All in favor, signify by saying aye. Opposed, we are adjourned. Thank you for coming, folks.